Saskatoon buyers finally saw more homes come onto the market in July. Sales dropped 11% and inventory moved higher. Normally, you might expect prices to follow sales downward. They did not. The benchmark price finished only $800 below the all-time record. So, has the market actually changed, or are buyers still facing the same competition with a few more choices? The answer changes depending on whether you are buying, selling, investing, or moving here. I'm Conor, Palendat, Realtor with Real Estate Group, and if you need a top producing team to help secure your dream home or sell your greatest asset, all my contact info is in the description below. Now, let's dive in. Let's start with Saskatoon, because July gave us a market that looks cooler on the surface, but is still very competitive underneath. Saskatoon recorded 539 residential sales in July. That was down just over 11% from July of last year, and that sounds like a major slowdown until you add the context. July sales were still almost 18% above the 10-year average, so demand did not disappear. We simply moved down from an unusually strong level. Year to date, Saskatoon has recorded 2,989 sales. That is 5% below last year, but still 13% above the 10-year average. The market is moving at a slower pace than 2025, yet it remains stronger than normal Saskatoon market. Now, the number buyers have been waiting for. New listings reached 793 in July, up 1% from last year. Total residential inventory reached 928 homes, up 3%. That is a real improvement, but it needs one big asterisk. Of those 928 homes, 244 were already conditionally sold. That left only 684 active homes that buyers could freely purchase at the end of the month. Using that active inventory, Saskatoon had just 1.27 months of supply heading into August. In plain English, buyers have more choices than they did, but we are not suddenly swimming in listings. A balanced market usually has far more supply than this. Well-priced homes in popular areas can still attract fast action and competing offers, and the benchmark price helps prove that point. Saskatoon residential benchmark was $447,600 in July. That was down only $800 from June's record of $448,400, and it was 3.6% higher than last July. So, prices did not fall when sales slowed. They paused just below a record. Detached homes made up the largest part of the market with 308 sales. That was down 15% year over year. The detached benchmark still rose 4% to $520,900, and the typical detached home took 23 days to sell. Townhouses tell a different story. Inventory jumped 45% from last year, while the townhouse benchmark rose 2% to $368,600. That may give buyers a bit more negotiating room depending on the area, condition, and price. And apartments remained one of the more affordable entry points. Their benchmark price reached $262,800, up 2% from last year. Inventory was actually down 18%. So the lower priced end of the market is not overflowing with options either. This is the key point. There is no single Saskatoon market. A detached home in a sought-after neighborhood, a newer townhouse, and an older condo can each face different levels of competition. The city-wide numbers tell us the direction, but your property type and price range tell us how to act. Now let's move north to Martensville. Martensville recorded 22 sales in July, the same as last year, and 22% above its 10-year average. New listings climbed 48% to 31, while inventory doubled to 32 homes. That increase sounds huge, but the base was very low. Martensville still had only 1.45 months of supply, which was 69% below its 10-year average. The benchmark price reached $448,800, up 4.2% year over year. Detached homes carried a benchmark of $541,900, up 6%. So Martensville gained listings and buyer choice, but it remained a tight market. For a well-prepared buyer, the extra inventory may create an opening. For sellers, strong pricing still matters, but more listings mean you cannot assume every home will sell the moment it hits the market. Warman, on the other hand, showed the clearest signs of a slower pace. There were 26 sales in July. down 19% from last year and close to the 10-year average. New listings rose 7% to 45, and inventory increased 18% to 71 homes. That pushed Warman to 2.73 months of supply. It is still below the long-term average, but gives buyers more room than Saskatoon or Martensville. Even with that extra supply, Warman benchmark price climbed 6.1% to $536.9. The detached benchmark reached $575.5, also up 6%. One number deserves caution. The average days on market was 58, but that does not mean every Warman home will sit for 2 months. It means buyers are becoming more selective, and pricing, presentation, and property type have a bigger effect on the outcome. So, what should you do with all of this? If you're buying, July brought some relief, but it is not a buyer's market. Get your financing ready, understand recent comparable sales, and judge each home on its own competition. You may have room to negotiate on a property that has been sitting, while a fresh, well-priced home could still require a fast and clean offer. If you're selling, near record prices are good news. The rise in inventory means strategy matters more. A price based on last spring's bidding wars can cost you momentum. The best results will come from strong preparation, accurate pricing, and a clear launch plan. If you're investing, do not rely on citywide appreciation alone. Compare the purchase price, rent, condo fees, taxes, repairs, and vacancy risk. Townhouses and apartments may offer lower entry prices, but the right deal depends on cash flow and the specific building or neighborhood. And if you're moving to Saskatoon, your search can vary a lot by area and budget. Warman may offer more selection, Martensville remains tight, Saskatoon gives you the widest mix of homes, but desirable listings can move quickly. So here's the July market in one sentence. Activity eased, inventory improved, but supply stayed low enough to keep prices near record levels. That is why headlines like "sales are down" do not tell the full story. The better question is, what is happening in the part of the market where you plan to buy or sell? If you want a clear plan based on your budget, neighborhood, or property, reach out to me. My contact information is always in the description below. If this update helped, give the video a like and subscribe for monthly Saskatoon market breakdowns and practical advice on buying, selling, and moving to the area. Thanks for watching and have a great day.